There's been a shooting in North Carolina. The person who did it appears to be Craig Stephen Hicks. He's turned himself in. He killed 3 people. So let's show you Craig Hicks first. Now, we're going to get into why he did this in the first place. There's a lot of dispute over that. Let me also show you the people that he killed. Dental student Deah Shaddy Barakat, his wife Yusor Abu-Salha, and his wife's sister Razan Abu-Salha. They've all been killed, murdered by this Craig Hicks character. So, and by the way, here's a recent shot of their wedding photo that was just a month ago. They're both passed away now. Okay, so there is dispute as to what happened here. Some claim that it's over a parking spot, and I'll explain that in a second. And some are concerned that it is because Craig Hicks was an atheist and an anti-theist who was so opposed to the religions of both Islam and Christianity that this might have played a role. Now, in social media, they found some things that he's put up, including this. Anti-theism, he explains, I don't deny your right to believe whatever you'd like, but I have the right to point out it's ignorant and dangerous for as long as your baseless superstitions keep killing people. Now, I agree with that statement. But I find it ironic from a guy who just killed 3 people. Okay, now, he was apparently also a gun enthusiast. He also put up a picture of his weapon and talked about its particular details and how much he likes it. He had also talked about, quote, the hypocrisy and stupidity of gun control advocates. Well, it turns out that perhaps we are not so stupid after all. Turns out that whatever your reasoning might have been, you didn't have a gun. Let's say it's over parking. You think you really would have murdered those 3 people, that 19-year-old girl, the people in their 20s, what, with your bare hands? Would you have hung them? Would you have burned them? How would you have killed them? Really? Or do you think maybe your gun made it a little easier to kill them? Okay, now I want to show you a picture, one of the last pictures of the dental student, the man involved here, alive. This was taken in North Carolina, where he was helping the homeless with dental equipment. So teeth, of course, is a huge problem if you don't have any access to dentists, and he was trying to help the homeless here in America. But he's dead today. Okay, so now, here comes the dispute as to why it might have been. Chapel Hill police suggested that Craig Stephen Hicks, 46, may have been involved in a long-running dispute over parking with the victims, but did not offer a clear motive for the shooting. Now, Hicks's ex-wife backs that up. She says this incident had nothing to do with religion or the victim's faith, but instead had to do with the long-standing parking disputes that my husband had with the neighbors. He often champions on his Facebook page for the rights of many individuals. Same-sex marriages, abortion, race. He just believes that everyone is equal. Doesn't matter what you look like or who you are or what you believe. Now, the father of the deceased disagrees. Here's what he said. He said, it was execution style, a bullet in every head. This was not a dispute over a parking space. This was a hate crime. This man had picked on my daughter and her husband a couple of times before, and he talked with them with his gun in his belt, and they were uncomfortable with him, but they did not know he would go this far. So, is it too early to figure out exactly what happened here and why Craig Hicks acted in the way that he did? Of course it is, right? But we do have some evidence as to what happened. Do I believe that it had something to do with the parking space? Of course I do. That's what the cops say. I'm sure that they didn't make it up. I'm sure that that was part of what happened. Right? Was it affected by his disregard for Muslims? That's so hard to know. Okay, and so here's the thing. I went and looked at the stuff that he'd put online to the best of my abilities and based on the reporting that's out there right now. Okay, and he doesn't seem like he was more vitriolic towards Muslims than he was towards Christians or towards Islam more than Christianity. He really did not like the religions equally, from what I could see, okay? So, you know, I can't look at that. I didn't see any evidence in that where I thought, this guy hates Muslims so much, or this guy makes the mistake of thinking, I don't agree with Islam, hence I think Muslims are the real problem. There wasn't a lot of talk about how, well, the average Muslim doesn't object enough, and so they're also part of the problem, etc. Now, I've seen that in other places. So far, I have not seen it in his social media. So let's not jump to conclusions on that. And his views on religion otherwise looked fairly normal. They were normal atheist position that the religions aren't helping anyone. Well, that's true, right? And by the way, on his politics, clearly against Mitt Romney. Based on what he's put on social media, you'd put him definitely in the center left rather than the center right position. Almost no question about that, right? The fact that he killed all of them is deeply troubling. So I don't know what that indicates, but it indicates something. It indicates a different level of hostility. Because here's how a dispute over a parking lot winds up in tragedy in a quote-unquote normal situation. The guys are yelling back and forth about the parking spot. The guy's carrying a gun with him, pulls it out in a moment of anger and shoots him. But he didn't just shoot him. He shot the wife and he shot the wife's sister. And according to the dad, that's got to be verified, but according to the dad, put a bullet in their heads. Well, that seems like an execution style. What extra level of hostility was there? Hard to know at this point. But there was definitely an extra level of hostility here. No question about that. I don't know why, but bullets to the head, if the dad is right, for all three of them, indicates that there was very, very bad blood between them. Okay. And by the way, again, according to everybody else, this guy's ranting and raving about parking spots. And even his wife says, look, yeah, I know, he did that all the time. And it wasn't necessarily just against these guys, it was against other people as well. So is the guy crazy? Probably, right? But they're all crazy. The terrorists who blow up places, they're crazy in their own way. Breivik, who shot over 70 people, those poor kids in Norway, he's crazy. I know, they're all crazy. But at the same time, there is one thing that is absolutely clear from this. If he doesn't have a gun when he gets that angry, is he really gonna go grab a rope or a knife or gasoline? Is he really gonna choke them with his bare hands? Is he gonna get on top of that 19-year-old girl and choke her to death? You know how easy it is to go, oh, fuck it, pull the gun, boom, 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 and they're dead. You know, he believed in this nonsense about guns don't kill people, people kill people, apparently including Craig Hicks. It's such a cliched, trite thing to throw around. But what's obvious is that guns make killing people much, much easier. Apparently he didn't believe that before. I'd like to ask him now if he believes that today. So these poor kids, and that's basically what they are. I mean, a dental student, his wife, and a 19-year-old, they're all dead now. A kid was raising money to go help Syrian refugees so he can give them, you know, what he's good at. He's good at dentistry, and he wanted to go help them. And the refugee kids that are now on the Turkish side of the border who have been, you know, abandoned by so many people across the world. And great people on the internet. They now rushed in and have funded his campaign. He was supposed to go, obviously he can, but they're giving money in the hopes that others go to help those refugees. But they're not here anymore because somebody got angry and they had access to a weapon that they thought was their right to carry around at all times. And in that moment of anger or madness or hatred, he killed them all. If you think that guns don't help kill people easier, you're living on a different planet. You're kidding yourself. You've got a hobby, you like your guns, they make you feel more manly, whatever they do, right? And for that, you're willing to countenance thousands of Americans being killed every single year when they probably would not have been killed if those guns were not around. Some of them would have, yes. You think all of them would have been killed? That those people would have committed those murders under any and all circumstances? Even you don't believe that. There was an excellent chance that these three people would be alive today if Craig Hicks did not have a gun.